Hi guys, it's Jamie. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I've been on holiday for a while, so I just got back and trying to catch up with some work. And one of the jobs and new customers that I have is to do with this car. So this is a Ford Escape 2.3 litre, and what year is it? According to the sticker, it's a 2005. So the reason I'm doing a video is kind of a follow-on video from a video I did a few months ago, and that was on a Suzuki Solio that was in the shop that I was repairing and throwing a whole load of parts at to try and get it into reasonable condition for resale. And in that video I was kind of explaining why you'd typically expect to have to pay a little bit extra to buy a used vehicle from a workshop and a technician as opposed to a car dealer. So this is the flip side video of that, and this is the video that was just recently purchased, I believe, according to the customer, approximately 2 months ago. And I had actually been in touch with this customer quite a few months earlier than that, and it was about a car that I was selling, and anyway, for one reason or another, he didn't choose to purchase that particular car. And anyway, he ended up purchasing a very different style car and this big SUV from a local popular dealer. Now, I'm not going to go into names and things for obvious reasons. The weather's looking particularly good today. And anyway, it's a dealer's car, and so I'm just going to go through this car now a little bit. I'll back up just a few moments ago. He dropped this car off because it was due for its yearly maintenance, or its 5,000 kilometer maintenance according to the customer. So it's the first time I've seen this car, and because it's the first time I've seen this car, like most cars that I see for the first time, I tend to go through them and pay particular attention to certain safety aspects, running gear. I give the car a road test before I drive the car, just to get a feel for it, see if I can pick up any NOx vibrations that the customer may not notice, and just give it a good sort of once over and make sure that it's safe to drive and things like that. And anyway, I found a few issues and I want to go through them. And again, like I said in my previous video, I'm not putting full responsibility on the dealer, because from my experience, dealers are typically not technicians and they very rarely have technical backgrounds. Having said that, some of the issues that I found on this vehicle are eye-opening, to say the least. Anyway, without further ado, let's just go through some of the issues that I found. Now, these issues were not all reported by the customer. In fact, he reported very few issues with the car. He described that after he bought the car initially, I think more or less immediately, the radiator blew, and I'll get to that filter in a second. But the vehicle's radiator blew. It lost all its coolant. The temperature gauge was high. He went back to the dealer. The dealer said, "Oh, the temperature gauge being high was kind of normal." Again, this is, this is the story that's been related to me by the customer. I don't have any other proof to back these stories up. So it turned out it was a blown radiator, and he had the radiator replaced by the dealer. I presume under warranty, I'm not quite sure, and had that issue resolved. I say resolved, I'm not sure exactly why. I have to run a couple more tests. This coolant was a little low. There's some coolant on the reservoir here, but that was me running a test on cylinder head gasket leakage, and it turns out the cylinder head gasket is not leaking. So I'm going to do a pressure test later and try and figure out why the coolant level's low. Go through some of the other issues. I think before he purchased the car, or at the time of purchase, he asked the dealer to put a new battery on the car at least. And again, according to the customer, when he picked the car up, it didn't have this battery, it had another battery, and he looked at the sticker and the date on the battery, and it appeared that the date had been wiped, basically just tampered with to make that battery look like a new one. And that battery failed I guess shortly afterwards, and he had to replace it again with this battery. I'll be running some voltage checks on this later. I haven't done that yet, to see whether or not there's an issue with the charging system, or whether he was fobbed off with some other old Duff battery that had its date updated. That was one of the initial issues. Now, there are some issues that I'm going to go through here that I haven't yet gone through with the customer, so I'll be talking to him shortly. Let's just start while we're here in the engine bay. Now, I've been checking some of the levels. Brake fluid's a little bit dirty. I'm going to be talking to him about that later, but I'll talk even more about the brakes shortly. One of the first issues I noticed is that the vehicle's got a very, very dirty, these are often referred to as high-performance air filters, and well, that's questionable. But one of the issues that I have had with these types of air filters on this type of car is that these quote-unquote high-performance air filters, they're a type of mesh design. They're not a paper filter element, and the gaps in the mesh are bigger. Now, these filters are designed so that you apply an oil coating, a specific type of oil coating to these filters after cleaning, and it's the oil that helps trap the dirt and the debris rather than the fine paper mesh. Now, I'm not a fan of these, and I'll tell you why. If I flip to the passenger compartment for a moment. So we go to the passenger compartment. Now, one of the things I've done is just plugged in the OBD2 computer and just gone through some of the vehicle's check systems. And what I've noticed is now there's no engine flashing warning light on the dash. I do have the ignition on right now, and you can see that the engine light is illuminated. It's that yellow one in the top left corner of the screen. That's normal because I haven't started the vehicle. And when I start the vehicle, it does actually go out. But when I plug in the OBD2 computer, I can find two faults in the computer system that are stored faults. We've got a P3302 and a 1300 code. And these codes, according to the internet, are related to ignition, or what do I say, the combustion process. So if the combustion process is incomplete or it's not quite efficient, these faults generally come up on some Ford and Mazda models. And this is a Ford Escape model, but in Taiwan it's also the Mazda Tribute. So some of the information pertains to both that I'm going to talk about here. So that engine running issue, now I have come across numerous engine running issues on these models, which is why I haven't dealt with the Ford Escape for quite a number of years now. I haven't sold them because they do have quite a number of common issues, some issues which are extremely hard to determine, very hard to diagnose, and extremely expensive to repair. So for some of these issues, it's the reason that I don't deal with the Escape model anymore. But this particular issue could be due to this filter, because I have had this problem with another almost identical vehicle, and it turned out to be this type of filter element that is put in. It simply allows too much dirt through the system. And if we look at both sides of the filter, I'm not sure if you can tell on the camera, but I can tell it's dirty on both sides, which is basically just telling you that it does not do a very good job of filtering dirt compared to the standard paper element. Now that dirt, I'm sorry I'm speaking fast, but I'm trying to keep the video short. That dirt runs straight through the filter and contaminates this mass airflow sensor. And if this sensor is dirty, it can provide the vehicle's ECU with false information. And with false information, it tends to run the engine either too rich or too lean, or can result in misfire codes and things like that. So I'm going to recommend that the customer change this filter, and I'll clean the mass airflow sensor, and from my experience it's like 50-50. Maybe that'll improve it, maybe it'll even make it worse, but there's a reasonable likelihood that I may have to change the mass airflow sensor to deal with that issue. So that's that issue. Let's go to perhaps a rather more serious issue. Do I have my light with me? Let's see if I can do it without the light. Okay, this is a flexible brake line on the front. You see this? It's pretty obvious. There's a massive gash in it, and that brake line is extremely dangerous. Sorry for my camera's autofocus issues, but it's got a bad brake line on this side and the brake line on the other side. is also split. Let's see, not block the light. Sorry, I'll continue. There's no good reason why these should be in such bad shape. Okay, this is dangerous, guys. If you've got a car with these kinds of issues, you really should not be driving it. It should be in a workshop, or it should be at least off the road. I'll be talking to the customer later about resolving these issues. Again, if you're going to buy a car, try and get one from a workshop. Try not to buy blind, okay? Or, you know, you can hire a professional to go and inspect your car before purchase and just make sure these kind of things are okay. That being said, there was an issue with the rear door not opening. I've already repaired that. That was a minor adjustment on the rear mechanism. And another thing that was troubling me was now what I'll get to, which is, okay, this car has airbags, as you can see on the steering wheel and on the passenger side cover. When you can do this yourself if you're buying a car. Turn on the ignition. Look for the airbag warning light. Make sure, and you can see some of the warning lights there that come on and go off. Make sure that all the warning lights are present. If your vehicle has airbags, it will have an airbag warning light on the dash. And I don't know if you noticed just then, when I turn the ignition on, I see no airbag warning light. That's not right. Okay? On the Ford Escape model, the airbag warning light appears beneath the what's the word I'm looking for? Seatbelt warning light, okay, and the engine warning light. So it should be the fourth sort of hold down. This should have a warning light here. It does not come on. That's telling me that there's some reason behind that, and that's a very unusual reason. Now, what I suspected is that somebody's tampered with it. So what I've done is I pulled out the dash binnacle to inspect further. Now, this is pretty shocking. Now, I don't know if you can see this in the back. The bulb holder is present, okay? So I'd imagine there is some sort of a bulb in there. What I'm gonna do now is try and remove it and then show you what's going on, okay? So bear with me here, just for a second, while I get my pliers. Now these bulbs come out by twisting them, and you need like a pair of needle nose pliers or something just to get there. So you twist it anti-clockwise and you pull it out. And what do we find? Where are we? See that? Oh, focus. Okay. You see that? What we have here, let's just get it in my fingers. What we have here is we have the bulb holder. There's a bulb in there, and somebody's wrapped black tape all around it. Now, why would you imagine that to be the case? Well, of course, what I suspect is that the secondary restraint system, or rather the airbags on this particular model, has a fault, or had a fault, or has temporary faults, and throws up the warning light. And I guess somebody didn't want anyone to notice that, so they've wrapped it in black tape. And I don't know why they didn't just remove the bulb, because that would have been possible as well. Or maybe, I'm not sure, I haven't done this, but maybe if you remove the bulb, pull it back in, throw some other warning light. I really don't know, but this isn't cool. Now, I'm not saying the dealer did this. I have no evidence that the dealer did this. What I'm saying is either the dealer did do this, or the dealer was completely ignorant or oblivious that this had been done previous to the dealer getting their hands on the car. Or maybe somebody's tampered with the car in between the dealer selling it and the customer arriving at my shop. Yeah, maybe. But just saying, all right, this isn't right. So, what can I say? I'm going to speak to the customer shortly. We're going to go through some of the issues on this car. Oh yeah, and I've got a power steering high pressure hose oil leak on this hose here, up here, and down the back there, which you can't see very well, but you just have to take my word for it. And the power steering fluid level has dropped. So, all right, these are just some of the issues that I found on the car so far, and that's it for now. So, take care, guys. Best of luck buying used cars in Taiwan. If you have any questions, if you want to drop me a line, you're free to do so. You can find my contact information and email on the website. I'm here. You know, you don't have to buy a car from me, but if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to pop them through. All right, cheers for now. That's Jamie signing off.